This is Jack later. I want to talk about fire drills, shadow boxing, and selling stuff, okay? Now, this is kind of interesting because, a lot of times we'll get into a situation when we're trying to sell stuff, whether it's online or elsewhere, and sometimes we feel the pressure, whatever it is, and sometimes we have a tendency to kind of buckle and don't do as well in those situations. So I want to share with you something to overcome that, okay? Excuse me. Now, over the last 20 years or so, I've been a professional teacher. As you probably know, I'm a college professor here in Utah. And it's kind of interesting because when I first started teaching, I used to get really, worked up and really nervous before teaching. And I would think of all of the terrible things that could go wrong before I went to the classroom. And that was the wrong thinking. And it's kind of interesting because now, even after 20 years, I still feel a little bit nervous. I still feel the butterflies come in my stomach every now and then. But yet, I've learned to get them to fly in formation. Okay? Just yesterday I was thinking of that. I felt just a little bit nervous. But yet, I went ahead and did a great job with that classroom. And this is kind of interesting because if I visualize doing a really good job before I do the class and actually think through scenarios of how I can successfully deliver a presentation or successfully carry out a good classroom discussion, then it's so much more successful. The same is true with selling stuff on the internet. Let me share with you one very important thing. Fire departments are very adamant about doing fire drills for a very important reason. When a crisis situation hits, when a real fire hits, they don't want people to be panicking and overreacting. And they want people to calmly get through the fire and know exactly what they're going to do. So, for example, when you did fire drills in school, you knew exactly what to do. You stood up, you walked out the door, you didn't run, you opened up the door, went down the hallway, walked quickly, but you never ran. You went down the steps and then out the front door or whatever exit you were assigned to go to. After that, the teacher would take roll. So you went through every little teeny action step before as you practice. Okay, so what has been proven is that students and other groups that would successfully practice good fire drills step by step, what would happen is if they really faced a real situation, their subconscious would take over and go through those same steps. Okay. And so this is what's kind of interesting, because if you visualize yourself going through successful scenarios before the supposed nervous situation hits, then you're going to do a lot better. Here's a great example of a successful scenario. Gene Tunny fought Jack Dempsy. You probably know Jack Dempsy was a phenomenal boxer. And what Gene Tunny did is that he watched probably 1,000 films of Jack Dempsy before he fought him. But not only that, but he did what's called shadow boxing. And he would actually box his own shadow, and he would pretend that it was Jack Dempsy before he actually fought Jack Dempsy. He did that 1,000 times, did this shadow boxing stuff, and visualized himself just beating Jack Dempsy before he actually faced him in the ring. Now, here's another example. Roger Banister visualized winning the 4-minute mile 1,000 times, 2,000 or 3,000 times in his mind over again before he actually beat the 4-minute mile. Okay. Another example is Billy Graham. Okay, you know how successful Billy Graham was in his ministry. Billy Graham would actually practice preaching in front of stumps in Florida before he actually faced a large crowd. And that's the way that he overcame his fear. So this is what I would challenge you to do. On the internet right now, video is king. It absolutely is. It sells a lot of stuff, and it is very effective. People like watching videos. Okay, so what I would challenge you to do is to make a video like this. But before you cut it, go through and pretend, before you even turn on the video, before the nervousness starts, okay, before it's turned on, practice in front of the camera or practice in front of the mirror or whatever, what you're going to say, okay, and have an idea of how it's going to go, and visualize yourself successfully putting together a great video. Now, I'll tell you, it works so much better to go through the walk through the motions step by step before you actually do it. Dave Wood, for example, does this. He's a master seller on the internet. I've seen him do a training presentation where he actually went in front of a whiteboard, and before he even cut the final video, he would go through a scenario on the whiteboard and actually go through the entire presentation. And on the board he would have the whiteboard completely filled up, even though the camera wasn't even on. Then he would erase the board. Then he would turn the camera on and do that presentation, and he would just knock it out of the ballpark. Okay, so I would encourage you to do that. Do a video, but go through the scenarios, go through the steps one by one in front of a camera before you turn it on, and then when you're ready to go ahead and turn the camera on. Now, so anyway, let me know what your number one takeaway is from this and how this is going to help you sell. And also comment, like, and share. And also, in addition to that, those of you who are kind of curious to see what I do online to make money, I'm going to send you an 8-step checklist. If you want to take advantage of that, click the link that says 8-step checklist and a walkthrough video, and I'll be happy to send that to you. But anyway, just let me know what your number one takeaway is, and make it a great day.